Welcome to Unmuted by GosuGamers, a podcast that takes a closer look at the esports world. And today we will be talking about Dota 2 in particular, the new patch, the brand new 7.30 Dota 2 patch. And today with me, we have Andrea, or better known as Diff, and we also have Jared Belandrio, as well as Sid Sirius today. And my name is Freddy. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about this patch. Are you guys happy about this patch? Are you not happy about this patch? Just a quick one. This is an overall view. How do you like this patch in just one sentence? Let's say. Keep it short.
More
Jared.
importantly, I think we are not super sad about it.
Yeah. So long we're not sad about it, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, not great.
Not great, not terrible.
Yeah.
Personally, I like it.
Okay.
I do like it.
Okay, I'll ask you to expand about why you like it in a bit. But generally, usually before TI when we have patch, right? For the past few years, it has always been like I would say quite a major patch. There's a lot of things that changes. But for this year, I mean 7.30 doesn't seem like a too massive of a change to me, in my opinion. There's a lot of a number of changes, but it doesn't really flip the meta upside down, right? That's my personal perspective. But what do you guys think about that? Is this okay or is this not okay? Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, for the last 2 years, what Valve and iFrog have been doing is they've been releasing the last big patch before TI, before the last major of the season, and that gives them a bit of time to get an idea of what balances are needed. And typically we have small balance patches coming out between the last major and TI. So I don't think they ever plan on flipping the meta just before TI. And that's something that they've done this time as well. This time it might seem a bit longer because we have a bigger break between last major and TI. So I would actually say that the patch that comes between the major and TI is bigger than what we would have seen from the past years. But yeah, we'll talk more about the meta and why it's good as we go on.
Okay, so I mean it's been live for a couple of days now. Any sort of like quick observation from some of the pro players or even pubs, that you want to share? Anything that you feel like is completely bonkers or no biggies? Yeah. Any quick observations?
I don't know if it's completely bonkers yet, but it definitely sticks out, pops out. The drafting change, and the fact that the team with the second pick now seems to be in a very, very good position, better than ever before. And I think that's a bit unbalanced right now. I watched a bit iLeague and ESL right now. And I've seen a few players saying the same, that it truly is a bit too much, and we should probably expect to be changed again. And Sid, if I'm not wrong, I mean, I can't really remember super well, but I think the drafts were changed a lot in the ban phase, not in the picking phase, right? This is like the first major picking phase change.
That is correct. Yep.
Because before they just work with the bans, they switch the bans a lot.
They switched the bans. They switched the number of bans that each phase had last few times. And so for people who don't know what Dave is talking about, in the second pick phase, the change for professional games in captain's mode, the change was made that the pick phase used to be Dire, Radiant, but now it's Dire, Radiant, Dire. And what that has done is it has given Dire the last pick in the second phase, and they also have the last pick in the last phase. So that's like a major advantage. So they can get 2 massive picks without facing bigger repercussions. So they can look at 4 of the Radiant Heroes, pick their 4th hero, then ban 2 heroes which will be bad against it, and then pick their final hero without any response to it. So I definitely agree. And I was just checking up on a few things yesterday. In the last patch, Dire actually had a higher win percentage than Radiant. Dire had a 51% win percentage. So Dire already wasn't in a bad spot, and now it got even better. So I think I agree with Dave that there's a good chance that it might be changed before TI.
Yeah, to me, something like a new pick order is really big, because it really changes your drafting strategy and like how you want to fix your composition, right? So something like this, I'm not sure whether it's right to make such a change now, like literally just about 40 plus days before TI. So I hope that maybe they would want to change it back, or like make some sort of fixes to it. Because I agree with Sid, and also Dave, like to some extent, is really favoring Dire now. And that why do you need to favor Dire when it's really like they already have the advantage, right, based on stats? Okay. All right, so let's go in and talk about, like, because this is a big patch. Let's talk about let's start with the heroes. Okay, why don't we start with the heroes? Let's start with the good news. Okay, some of the ones that are the buff. Yeah, like this.
I just want to not to skip entirely these general changes, because when you talk about heroes right now, when we're gonna talk about the buff and bans, buff and nerfs, and how heroes might feel better or not in this patch, it also has a lot with what happened in the general changes, and I mean the crit proc change, right? The fact that it's not that RNG anymore, so PA players probably are not that happy anymore right now, for instance, and the cooldown reduction change, which is huge because that's a direct nerf to some heroes. Although that if you look into the patch notes at Zeus, for instance, or I don't know, Leshrac or other heroes, you might say they are not that much nerf. But with the cooldown reduction, I'm just happy, for instance, that we won't have the sniper Octarine core spell prism anymore in Hobbs,
Right.
for instance.
Yeah,
so yeah,
but
now let's talk about the heroes thinking about that.
Yeah, the crit proc definitely will affect a lot of the heroes, right? That we are going to talk about some of the buff and some of the nerf ones. Okay, let's start with the good news. Let's start with the heroes that you think received the most buff. Who wants to start? Yeah.
I think if you look at so it's very difficult to actually think about who is the most buffed just by looking at the patch notes. So a good way to look at it, I usually do is go to Dota buff after 3 or 4 days and see. And you can see Lycan has a 10% increase in his win rate, which is higher, about 5 or 6% higher than the next hero in line. And I've been watching some of the games from BTS Pro Series and ESL One Fall, and I think Lycan has been doing pretty well. Just a few minutes ago, Alliance, no, not Alliance, Tundra Esports won a pretty convincing game with Lycan. And I think that's because of a number of changes. One is definitely the buff that he's received, the buff that his shard has received. But more importantly, I think for the first time now in the game, Helm of the Underlord actually seems like a strong item. So all heroes that kind of benefit from that, Lycan, Beastmaster, are going to be having a good time this patch.
Yeah, that's why we will always bounce between items and heroes in this patch, because I truly believe that the changes that they were made, they work together. It's not anymore that this hero doesn't have that spell anymore, or unless we talked Tinker, but that will come later. So yeah, Helm of the Overlord, Helm of the Overlord was introduced like 3 patches ago, Sid. And it was really overlooked. It was super expensive. It didn't give that much of a boost, or of importance. And now the fact that it has Vladimir's included, right? And the buff on the creep dominated. I think that's the most broken thing right now, because the buff, what was let me look. The bonus creep bonus
Additional
attack
armor
damage increased from 25 to 80.
Right.
Well, that's insane. And with like an aura and the howl, whew, of course he is like the biggest winner of this patch.
But you're definitely right? Because aside from like Lycan, like Beastmaster, as well as Lone Druid, it feels like we're gonna go back to like a Zoo meta again, right? A Zoo meta era. Would that be a bold prediction or no?
I think it would be a slightly bold prediction, especially because Zoo metas tend to thrive when you have more elements that favor a dead ball meta, which kind of get the game over quickly. And I think Lycan and Beastmaster are definitely two of the contenders for off lane, or Lycan even in the safe lane. But the other members, the typical members of Zoo meta, don't seem to be that strong. I think Furion does not seem that good. Furion actually had a lowering in his win rate. So we'll definitely see few members of the Zoo meta, but the meta as a whole, I don't think will go towards the Zoo meta.
Fair enough. Yeah. Any other, like, aside from like, like, what other heroes that you see like has substantial buff?
Jared, do you want to go?
Yeah, I think from my side, the one that I noticed the most, not really in gameplay per se, but was Slock, because of the change to Silver Edge, because of the change to crits due to that, and then Mage Slayer being what it is. Slock looks like he could be coming up to becoming, one of the best heroes in the new meta. But it remains to be seen. We've seen a couple of Slock games so far, but the Slocks haven't really gone through with the the new Silver Edge or Mage Slayer at all, as far as I know. So yeah, it remains to be seen in the pro plays, at least, if that's something that happens.
I'm pretty sure that Nico Baby is just absolutely happy now, and we will see his Slark in action at some point. I don't know if everyone wants to reveal, or it's funny because when a tournament happens close to TI and right after the patch, they not always, the players, the teams, they not always want to show what's absolutely broken. They know that it's broken and they keep it like that because maybe it gets there to TI in that state. And yeah, the Slark with the Silver Age now, with the granted crit on first hit, and yeah, I must say I played a couple of games already since the patch, and if you don't ban Slark in pubs right now, it's first picked. I mean, people don't even wait, in pubs, in low MMR pubs. Sometimes, most of the times, people will force you to pick supports first. It's not the case anymore. Everyone is rushing for this Slark.
Yeah,
For my case, it's
agree.
always Slug or Pudge. First pick, second pick, usually. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with Dev
Yeah.
and Jared that Slack seems like a really good hero right now. And another thing that is good for Slack is the change that the Possess must. That's the tier 1 item, right? That's pretty good for heroes who want to go to the jungle early on. And I think that's like a slight buff there again. And that, along with the Dark Pack buff, is going to be really helpful for Slack to sustain himself in the jungle and farm faster. And yeah, I love the point that Dev brought up about teams not wanting to give away their strats, because we've seen this time and again that even when there's no change at all in the meta, certain heroes you don't see in tournaments preceding TI, but when you get to TI, everyone is picking particular heroes which were never seen, and you suddenly realize, oh, these heroes are good. So yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
you can.
You spoke about jungle, and Reddy said Pudge just now. How do you feel about the hook change on Pudge?
Oh yeah.
Which
I love it.
basically makes him Marana, in the
Exactly.
jungle. Yeah.
No, I love
It's a
it because
perfect excuse for a missed hook,
Yeah.
It's like
Aiming for the
I was
creep,
farming.
I
Yeah.
was farming and I needed that goal, yeah.
that's true. I mean, as much as I hate to play against Pudge or even with Pudge in pubs, I love to see that hero in professional games. And professional games, like I've been going through a few TI grand final replays from the past. So Pudge was definitely picked more in the first 2 or 3 TIs, but nowadays people are very skeptical about picking the hero. So I think with this change and the fact that his shard makes him a really good support, there's a good chance that we might see a few more Pudges in professional games. And we've been seeing a lot of Pudge in the high tier pubs as well.
Yeah, it's always fun to see Pudge, yeah.
I wonder what PSG
What do
LGD
you
thinks
guys-
about Pudge right now, because they spam that in what was before Dota Pit, right? No,
Yeah.
Dota Pit, they
Right.
want
Yes,
Pudge
Pudge, yeah.
carry, right?
That was
Yeah.
interesting, yeah.
And
What do you
speaking
guys
about
think-
Pudge,
Sorry. Yes, okay. Dave, go ahead. Speaking of Pudge, go ahead. Yeah, continue
Speaking
with
of
that.
Pudge, in the early
Mhm.
TIs, I believe that Chen is also super good now because he was completely off the
Yes.
meta, and the fact that his ultimate got super buffed, and that must dispel, or not must dispel, but even global dispel.
Well, it is essentially, yeah, global as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
I
that's a
think it makes
strong
it
dispel,
super
right?
good.
It, yeah,
And
it's
it's
a strong
global,
dispel on
right?
Hand of
It's
God.
global. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
What do you guys
Uh,
think of Klingster? I mean, yeah, the
So
changes. Yeah.
this is right. So I think right as the patch was released, Crit put up a tweet saying Klinks is out again or something like that. But and that's what
The crimes against
the
Klings
crimes
continue.
against Klinks. Right. And I agree with that because Klinks is a hero who wants to go on the backlines. He does not want to stay in a place and channel the spell for a long time because that just gives people time to get onto him. Having said that, I did see a player, a prominent player from the Indian Dota 2 scene saying that Klinks is really strong right now. And I saw a game yesterday in the BTS Pro Series where Undying played Klinks, Undying the team, not the hero. Undying played Klinks and they absolutely owned with it. Braille was playing it and it went on a 700 GPM, had a game and did pretty well. So it does seem like he's been nerfed, but you never know. It might just end up surprising you.
Yeah, and from the pub experience, it's weird as well because everyone's feeling is that he got nerfed and he can't even like farm as well as he would do in the jungle. But then again, this is the second hero that pops into my pubs for the past 3 days constantly, and I don't get it. I simply don't get it. Honestly, I can't say if it's nerfed or buffed. I see it winning. I saw it losing. So
Yeah, I
I
think
think you
Klinks
have to
is
be a very dedicated Klings player to understand the changes and
Yeah.
take
right.
advantage of them.
Klinks is in that category of heroes, which is very difficult to say where he is until more than a few weeks have passed. But I think with the right lineup, if you have heroes that can draw attention onto them or to make sure that enemy heroes can stay concentrated in an area, Klinks can do an insane amount of damage because his first skill now makes sure that all orbs are applied to all enemies in the AoE. So people are building Desolators, people are building Mjolnirs. So you never know. It might be one of the best changes Klinks has seen.
It's again, you have to look a bit at the items as well, and at the neutrals. There are a few neutrals, tier 1 even, which I think are super good for some heroes like Klings or like Huskar. You have that, what's the name of it?
The Brigand Blade.
Yes.
yeah, Brigand's
Mhm.
Blade.
The Brigand's
It,
Blade now has a passive, it's a new tier 2 item, right? That does plus 7 damage for each 10 HP the enemy is missing.
Right.
So that for Huskar is like insane.
Mhm.
I believe for Klings
yeah.
who probably is able to open on you, with the crit, that is good as well.
Right.
The item also work on
Mm.
towers and Roshan with the
Oh,
same.
does it?
Yes, it
Wait,
does.
what?
Yeah. So see, all these changes are so circumstantial and
Mhm.
make everything
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. Really need a lot of testing. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go through the position from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to talk about in your opinion, like when I say position 1, which hero do you think will do well like within this patch, right? 7.3. It can be any hero that you think will do well. For example, like Jared, you already mentioned Lycan, but yeah, it could be in 3, it could be in 1. We don't know. So let's start with position 1, carry. Which carry heroes do you think will really shine or like be picked heavily this patch?
I'm gonna go with Slark, Void, Swin, and I had one more in mind. Slark, Void, and Lycan.
Okay.
Anti-mage, no?
Yeah, I was thinking anti-mage should be thrown in there too.
In pubs, maybe, but Antimage is one of those
Don't think
heroes
so.
who never has a good time in professional games, like very few games.
Yeah, you kind of need a lot of farm to get him off. Who else? How about Jared? Your pick.
Yeah, I think there's not many else. I would have thought anti-mage as well, but yeah, Sid is right. Anti-mage does often struggle a bit in the pro scene. I can't really think of anyone else that I'd add to that, like pure position 1 carry, just from, the looking at it at the start, I guess.
Pudge?
I don't Pudge as a position 1. Yeah, no.
Well, why not?
I
I
mean,
mean, yeah.
Only
I suppose
PSG LGD.
Monkey King maybe.
Mm.
The Jinga Mastery buff was it's good. I just don't think it's enough.
Put at a tier 1, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I
he'd
would
be
have picked Lifestealer.
sure.
The lifesteal is always a safe bet, right? I think, for him to be strong. I'm trying to think of any other heroes as well that, like, I would say like the top tier for position 1. Oh, never mind.
Well, what
Yep.
happens, also something interesting that happens with this patch through this first few days, it's the return of Bloodseeker in the carry position, because
Yes.
he's now again, stealing percentage based.
Yeah.
All right, definitely, I agree. And what's
So
also going to happen
that's one.
is
Yeah,
Axe
I forgot
is
about Bloodseeker, yeah.
Axe is not going to be seen in the position 1 for a
No.
long time now.
Yeah,
No.
it's
That
dead.
was a very small honeymoon period for Axe when he was being played in both lanes, but I don't think we're going to see that now.
Yeah. No
Where
pun
is Axe?
intended, but Axe has been axed, no more.
Yeah,
Pretty
the
much.
Manta is gone.
The Manta is gone,
Yeah,
which is a bit sad to
Okay.
see. It was something
it
different.
is.
It
It
was
was
fun.
actually
I
fun.
always
Yeah.
love a good axe, right? Like, if you get all the epic moments with axe.
Where did he come from?
Okay, let's move on to position 2. Mid lane.
Mid lane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just happy to see that Queen of Pain can finally have her days back in the mid.
Yeah. I love
That's
a
one.
Queen game, actually. Yeah. Always fun.
I think Batrider may come up in mid lane again. After the it was a buff to Firefly, yeah. Yeah, and stick, yeah, and napalm. I think Batrider may be seen a bit more in the mid. Maybe not like too soon. It might be another one of those things that the pros don't really play until it actually comes down to TI. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think the damage of Firefly, the increase was quite significant. Even though at the top end of it was like down by 5 damage, but I don't know. I think it's probably enough to keep him in mind for the mid lane at least.
I agree. And even though Firefly got nerfed, Sticky Napalm had a pretty decent buff. So all in all, with the combination, it's still pretty strong. And typically, Batrider is picked to counter Timber in the mid lane or TA. The thing is, I don't think those two heroes will be seen too much with the nerfs that they've gotten. So there's a chance that it might be circumstantial, but we'll see about that.
I think
but that
I think the Timber nerf seemed that we're not going to get much Timber, but I think TAs, even though they were like her nerfs were quite substantial, it seems that she's more situational now. You have to play her very differently. You can't really jungle anymore easily. But someone was playing TA earlier. One of the teams, was it Spirit? Was it Team Spirit that played TA earlier? And yeah, they did really well with it. No, it wasn't Spirit. It was T1. They did really well. They still lost, but It did
The
pretty
mid
damn
lane.
They
well.
only lost because
yeah.
of the offlane combo that
Offlane,
Spirit had. Yeah.
Yeah. Magnus Tiny, yeah.
Toss into skewer into
Toss
tower.
into and then Puck, and also
Yeah.
Puck there. So toss skewer out of coil. Yeah.
I also think that in the mid outward devour is he back, and I'm only thinking because of also items. Mage Slayer, for instance, being way cheaper right now and cost effective. You know,
Outworld
His,
Destroyer, Div.
his Arcane Orb also works on Roshan now, so that helps you with early Rosh.
I agree. That's
I think it's
definitely
an
good.
option.
How
And,
about Void Spirit? I mean, it's a minor buff. Would that
Yes.
push him to, like, I would say, close to a heavily pick?
I think so, because Void Spirit has been a comfort heroes for a lot of teams in the past, and even when he was losing pretty heavily, we did see Void Spirit being picked, I mean, not picked a lot, but once or twice here and there in the last patch. So I think with it being buffed, we'll definitely see more Void Spirit. We've already started seeing more Void Spirit in the games that have been happening till now. And another one that I think might be a hidden one is Silencer, who might.
I'm not exactly sure if you want Silencer in the core, in the carry role. I mean, if intellect carries are really back with all these changes. But yeah, I agree that he's a very interesting hero in this patch, and it remains to be seen where they place it, because he's definitely better than a 5 support right now, you know.
Right, right. And with Mage Slayer being so cheap now again, it's like a core item for all end-based right clickers. So yeah, OD, Silencer, Queen of Pain, uh, definitely. And heroes like Silencer and Queen of Pain who have a DPS skill, they kind of outlane TA pretty easily in the mid lane as well, because it just destroys her refraction. So I think that will be another factor. Once these heroes start coming up, we'll see less and less of TA, and the mid role itself will change quite a bit. And another thing that, going back to the general changes, we saw the water rune has uh, now gives only 40 HP instead of 80, and I think that'll be a big factor in the mid lane as well eventually. Like, when you have heroes who typically don't do that well in the lane and rely on the water rune HP to help them sustain, we're going to see a bit less of those now.
And also the battle got nerfed, right? It's the cost was increased. So yeah, those are changes that impact the mid lane directly. And
All right.
Definitely.
Now let's move on to the offlane position 3. Yeah. Any
you know,
good
it's
threes?
funny
Yeah.
because in the previous patch, everyone said that that it was a carry patch, and that the carries were so favored. And I feel like this one is very focused on the offlane. There's a lot of good things happening for the offlane. Beastmaster, we already mentioned it, and Lycan can go whatever lane he wants.
Yeah,
And
I
then I
agree.
just have to mention Underlord, right? What would they call it? The Uberlord now, right? Yeah.
That's a very, very interesting, and I
Yeah.
I think it's the change that I like the most, and I want the most to see it happen in pro games.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, coming to heroes that we'll see a lot in the offlane, I think we'll see a good deal of Night Stalker. I think we will definitely see Beastmaster and Lycan, no doubt about that. What do you guys think about Necrophos? I do think he has been buffed, but I'm wondering if it's enough for him to, make a.
He has been buffed, but like if you look at what is the item? Witchbane? Is it Witchbane? That item seems to just absolutely kill Hemopagna from really doing anything. It's, I mean, I suppose again it's kind of situational. you can always play around it. But yeah,
But which blade, which Bane, it's a tier 5 item, right?
yeah, tier 4.
I mean, tier 4.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
still,
think it's
yeah,
one of the most broken right now from the neutrals, and it shouldn't
Definitely.
exist something like that in the game
it's
for the love of God.
Right, it literally just nullifies some of the heroes, completely obsolete. So I agree with you that there needs to be some sort of fixes. But I feel like Necrophos is okay. I don't think is OP right now in the offlane. Is all right. There may be some teams that will, kind of just like a annoying offlaner that kind of like sustain a little bit. But I don't think it's gonna be that popular. I might be wrong, but yeah.
Oh, another
How
one.
about
Daxia.
Darkseer? Yeah.
yeah, Darkseer, yeah.
Daxia.
But do you think that the punch is enough buff to become a thing for him? Because they buff this spell right now, but I still think that everything that he does besides that is better, and you itemize for everything else than the
Right.
punch.
Yeah.
I do think it is good. And the caster Lyrical plays a lot of Daxia. And he'd already said in the past patch that the punch is really good. And now that it's been buffed, I think we'll see a lot more of it. And the stun duration, if I'm not mistaken, depends on from how far you come, right? And Daxia does typically build blink. So if you blink in and you use it, you're bound to get a good duration on the stun. And you have a pretty strong illusion, which lasts for 8 seconds now. So I think it should be a pretty viable option.
I mean, I was just scrolling through the patch note to Daxia, and then I somehow scroll past Dawnbreaker. I just want to mention that it's kind of sad to not see her in Captain mode. I'm like, I would like to see her on like TI. I really hope that they add that. I mean, they fix that before TI. I don't know. Hopefully next week or so that the pros, they have a bit of time to get used to it. But I would like to see some Dawnbreaker action.
Right.
Yeah.
If Dawnbreaker were to be added, I would say she would have been added in the patch that got released 4 days ago, because that would have given Valve and Ice Frog some time to gauge how she performs in ESL and all the other tournaments happening. There's a lesser chance that she'll be added later, because that way they'll have no way of.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically speaking, I don't think that they'll add her at all. I think we have passed that window, but I would love to see her. Right? I mean, it's the latest hero, and you kind of want to like see how all these pro players will play her at the highest level. And I think she's fun. Yeah, I've tried her,
especially since they gave her both a shard and a scepter. So it would have been the perfect time to put her into captain's mode now.
Yeah, let's continue to talk about the offlane. So Sid, you have anything else? Any heroes that you want to add on?
Right. So last two names that I think I want to put in the list for offlane, and I'd like your opinions on this. One is Chen, which Immortal Faith said on Reddit that Chen would be more viable as an offlaner now. I think the reason that makes sense is you give him higher farm priority, you get the scepter quicker, and that's a lot better. And the second one is, and maybe this is just a meme, Undying.
No, it's not a meme. It's my favorite hero. No, Undying is the most awesome hero of this patch.
So I actually think that Undying will be a thing. I've watched some stream here and there, and then in one of the pubs also, like a teammate played the offlane Undying. It's unkillable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the shard is what makes him
shard
very appealing
rework
right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just early game, the Soul Rip mana change is going to be huge, I think, for any, like, for healing or for damage. But yeah, that shard rework is disgusting.
Yeah.
So maybe some Echo Saber Undying action.
Oof.
But I like back to Chen, right? I just don't know what to think about it. I've read the comments and everything about like potentially playing him as off lane, but it's also is it gonna be more like a aggro tri lane kind of like setup? As you need the jungle, right? You need the creep, right? Or you don't. How do you play Chen off lane? I just want to understand the concept.
I do agree. You definitely need the creeps. You need the jungle for putting pressure on the opposition safe lane. But it's, I think what Immortal Faith possibly meant was more in terms of farm priority, that you get to have more of the lanes as compared to the other two heroes below you in the pecking order, which gives you your scepter early on in the game. And if you get your scepter early on in the game, it is like an insane counter to stuff like Batrider Lasso or Bane ult. Like these big ults which target your main hero in the game, you can literally press one button and nullify it from anywhere on the map.
And there's also the Helm of the Overlord again. If you have super good farm on Chen, you get the scepter, you get the Helm later on, and yeah, Chen is definitely one of the most I wouldn't say most buffed or something, but with most chances to come back in the meta because he was so ignored in the previous patch.
I'm sad that Tundra won't be at TI because they have an offlaner who can play one of the best gens in the world, 33.
He just play light and he's fine.
True. Okay, let's move on to 4. Position 4.
Pudge.
Pudge. Yeah.
No, I agree. I completely agree. I always, like I say, I always love a Pudge game. Be it meme, fail, or like a successful hook or whatever. It's gonna always be fun, right? So yeah, I would love to see more Pudge, in pro.
But what I think it will happen, I mean, I think Valve wanted this in the previous patch, but the pro scene didn't got the memo. It's that we're gonna see probably Tinker, which in my opinion has just become the best roaming support in the game. You don't need the travel boots. You TP on whatever unit you want. I mean, building later on the units, right? The matrix is insanely good from level 1 to 4, and I think this matrix, I mean this change with Tinker possibly being support position 4, I think it was aimed even because it was on the shard before, right? And Valve IceFrog might have thought that it's enough, to sparkle this idea of Tinker support. It wasn't. Now he just put it as a spell. It's like, you want March of the Machine, you want your old Tinker, you have to farm more, which is impossible until you get your shard and so on.
There's definitely potential, especially if you max out defense matrix. It can be insanely powerful at level 7 to help out in early game fights. If you're playing like a 4 protect 1 lineup, that's always nice. But I have also seen Tinker being played a lot by players like Gunner and
still in the mid.
Yeah, still
in
can be
mid.
played in,
So maybe it can be a flex pick.
Yeah, it can be a flex pick, and I also seen, I mean, there's also a change of dynamic. It works the same, but it's also changed at the same time. Tinker Bounty being the core right now, and Tinker being the support. Because you have that track, which was also buffed right now, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and with the lasers and with the fact that Tinker can come on top of you, as a bounty, it still works, but just in a very different dynamic. Because back in the previous patch or many patches before, bounty used to be the support that will just go spy in the jungle and alert Tinker, hey, this dude is farming here, let's kill him. Maybe you kill him, I track him.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I'd love to see some position for Tinker. Although I am slightly skeptical it will happen, but you never know.
You never know, man. With
Earth Spirit is still good, even better, I think.
Earth Spirit is better, definitely. And I think they've brought back Earthshaker, who's like a trademark TI hero.
Yep.
They brought back Earthshaker through the buffs, to the items. Yeah, it's gonna be a spam of Earthshaker sooner or later. And IO, it's also buffed.
It is.
Oh, right, yeah.
OG seemed pretty happy with
Yeah,
that.
like they were saying, this is like a conspiracy, right? They just want OG to win, right? I mean,
Do you know what OG fans should be feared of right now? The buffs on the Alchemist, which seems like a even better support or
Oh, yes.
utility hero.
Yeah.
They
That's
tried
true.
so much about with that in the previous
Yeah.
patch.
I
It didn't
personally
really
hate
work.
I personally hate the Alchemist game, but you know what? I don't mind to see an Alchemist game. I'm just I think for the past season, and we don't really see a lot of him in action. Yeah, I mean the support out, or even depending on how you want to get creative with him, could be interesting.
I'm fine with Alchemist if he's not being played as a carry. Like, there was far too much carry Alchemist for me back in the day.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but
Venge.
Venge,
Sorry,
yeah.
continue.
Vengeful, yeah.
Possibly, I guess so. I think one small change that has made Shaman better is that his hex breaks at level 20. And there's always been talk about how we don't have a lot of breaks in game. And he's got two talents. One is the hex breaks, and one is the hex reduction in the cooldown. I think those could make, along with the other buffs, could make Shaman a pretty good position for. And he was pretty widely used in 7.28, lost out in 7.29, so we might see a comeback in this patch.
Hey. And last but definitely not least, hard support, position 5.
Warlock.
I like that.
Warlock, the Warlock.
Warlock,
whisper
the Warlock
mentioned
level
Warlock.
15 change. Honestly, that Warlock level 15 change. I hate playing Warlock as a support, but that level 15 talent change to me with the 70% increase to attack speed.
Right.
I thought that was that's
I
ridiculous.
it's a very nice change, and again, I don't understand through all these years of people watching pro players playing Warlock every now and then, except March, which is my idol for that hero. Nobody plays it like him, but why pro players never use upheaval? I find it like his best spell, honestly.
Yeah.
You know,
And
one of the
now,
best. Sorry, go on. Dave.
Yeah.
Go.
I was gonna say one of the best uses of upheaval is I've seen is from Fenrir. Uh, when he was playing for Vici Gaming, he used to be amazing with that, his positioning and use of upheaval. And if it's insane, and now I believe one talent gives you 70 attack speed for your allies. Did that by any chance replace the
It's the
40
upheaval
DPS?
DPS. Yeah, that was the level 15 talent change. Yeah.
Right. So in my mind, I was thinking if both of those are available, it would be even more insane. But this is pretty good in terms of, again, if you have something like a Chronosphere or a Mars Arena, and you can put it with your allies inside
in the middle. Yeah,
that would be just amazing.
A
Any
slight
other
buff,
5?
a slight buff or nerf. I mean, it's again circumstantial to Grimstroke, to the Inkswell, right? The duration got increased, which means it's both good and bad, because it takes longer until it explodes and it stuns the enemy, but it also gives you more time to reach the enemy. So it's interesting. I see it as a buff overall. Some see it as a nerf. I see it as a buff because it gives you better time to prep.
Not just that, if you have more time, wouldn't the stun duration also increase? Right.
True.
So if you can if the tentacles can be in contact with your enemy for a longer time, I agree. I'd say it's a buff on 2 counts. It gives you more time to get close, and it gives you a higher stun if you're able to stay closer for a long time. I think a couple of heroes, I believe we'll see a good deal of Lich. Lich has buffs all across the board.
Yep.
And Shadow Demon is another candidate that can either fill a position 4 or position 5 role.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Shadow Demon because he got quite a bit of a buff. Well, I mean, suppose not a a sizable buff, but it's pretty substantial for Shadow Demon himself. Shadow Poison, increased damage, and Soul Catcher with the larger spell amp. Shadow Demon is definitely one that I want to see more of, to be fair.
I want to mention
Bane,
Bane, yeah.
Bane.
Also
Bane
gonna
is
say
another
Bane.
one.
I tried it. The cast point reduction actually makes a big difference with the Fiend's Grip.
Right.
Yeah. And
What about
yeah,
Disruptor?
Disruptor.
Disruptor is also super
is
good,
like
I think, this patch.
yeah.
He's more than just a walking static link, static storm.
Sure,
True.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, kinetic field, even that 0.2 second change feels pretty damn great for static field or kinetic field. But yeah, kinetic field.
But I think all the heroes that we've mentioned will be heroes that will be added to the pool besides the ones that were already there, because not too many heroes have been like nerfed to the ground.
That's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's talk about some nerfs, right? Is the perfect timing for us to talk about some of the most nerf heroes that we will not see again. We have mentioned a couple just now, but yeah, let's open the floor. Disregard of the position, but which heroes got the most screwed by Ice Frog, you think?
My only question to
yeah,
Ice Frog is why he hates Crystal Maiden.
Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, I mean, she's already
so
slow.
Yeah,
She's so
she is
freaking
so
slow. I
Now
understand that
you slow her attack speed as
Her attack
well.
speed.
She looks like she's
I understand that
challenged or
she's a
something.
frost-based hero, but you don't need to slow her down so much. Yeah.
I'm just happy that I got my I got Crystal Maiden and Wish Doctor to Grandmaster level 30 already, so I'm never gonna
Oh,
touch these heroes again.
Damn.
When I saw the patch changes, I was
Okay.
like, oh god, thank you.
Yeah.
She's already
So
30,
sad.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah,
I
Lali will
think
not
so.
see her much at all. Yeah.
Someone made a typing error. They wanted to type 3 and instead they put 2 in her movement speed. Because that does seem insane. But as in terms of nerfs, the hero that has had the biggest dip in win rate, according to Dota Buff, is Broodmother, whose win
Of
rate
course,
has
yeah.
decreased by nearly 14%, which is crazy.
That's insane.
That is insane.
I thought it would be either Terrorblade or Chaos Knights, honestly.
Right.
No, but the
Terrorblade
changes, I mean,
got
I think
pretty hard.
Broodmother is also the hero most interesting in this patch. I mean, who got the most attention in this patch and rework, actually a rework.
Yeah, the Scepter
Stinker.
rework thing. Yeah.
For me, I think
It's
one
not
of the
only,
biggest.
it's
Go ahead, Div. Yeah.
also the fact that, I mean, because Broodmother was also shining because of her, mobility and capacity of evading, escaping, chasing, everything. And now she can't, because you open with a crit on her, which is not that hard, or with a stun and initiate on her, and she gets to the point where she can't move anymore. Because the more damage she takes, the slower she moves on those webs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all her shiny abilities are not there anymore. She's not the hero that used to be anymore.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. More than the Scepter rework, that change is the bigger change that is gonna nerf her. And if that Scepter rework would have actually been a Shard rework, I could have said maybe you can play her as a support, maybe, but it doesn't. It's not really viable to do that with a Scepter because that takes a lot of gold to build.
I mean,
For
someone
basically
that
just a
hits,
mine on the. If you want, I mean, you look at those webs that alert you on the map when hero 3 steps on them. So hero steps on the webs, they get rooted, and your team gets a ping on the map that somebody is rooted in the Broodmother webs, which it's almost the same with what the techies might do, except for the, of course, map thingy, which is a new mechanic actually in the Dota 2. If you want, I don't know, maybe it's a beta test for something else that we might see after TI or at TI, some new heroes. It's very, to me, I mean, this little change with something that pings on your minimap, we never had something like that triggered by a hero, by an item, by,
I agree.
And
it was
interesting,
always audio effects. It was never a ping on the map.
Yeah.
True. I mean, for someone who hates spiders in real life, I don't mind, that nerf. We see less of Broodmother even. Um, yeah. What do you guys think of like the nerf on like Wyvern as well as Phoenix? Like two heroes that got quite a bit of like play
I think they
time.
are
Yeah,
still viable.
I think Wyvern is definitely still viable. Like
as a support, right?
it's
Yeah.
just yeah, I think
Mm.
Wyvern, even though Wyvern got nerfed quite a bit, I
The
think
reduced healing and all. Yeah.
that ulti is just too much
True.
to not have in a fight. In any sense of it, like you can just lock down one hero without having someone hit them in the face for 5 seconds, or you lock down a carry in the middle of their team. Either way, you have like the perfect lockdown on someone.
How about Phoenix?
I've seen
I
it
don't-
played just as much since the patch in the Pro Dota. So the slow is still there, the burn is still there, the egg, which provides some team fight, not setup, but good combos. They are all there. Nothing big changed for her.
I don't think either of those heroes will totally go out. And one of the things I absolutely loved that Ice Frog didn't do was nerf the healing item. I forgot its name.
The mechanism. or what?
No, the heal amplification. Oh my god, am I blanking out?
You're talking about item or the abilities from Phoenix?
The item that amplifies heal.
Holy Locket.
So I think Phoenix and Winter Wyvern are both still viable, and one of the big reasons is Holy Locket was not nerfed, and I loved the fact that Ice Rock didn't nerf it because this was a patch where 7.29 was the first time that it was actually used quite a bit, and it'll be interesting to see it used at TI as well. So that item keeps heroes like Winter Wyvern, Phoenix, Warlock still in pretty good contention. Like Div mentioned, Undying is also a good candidate for that. Enchantress, and so those heroes, I don't think we'll see completely removed out of the meta, but a few others that I do believe will go out. Timbersaw, definitely. Timbersaw was either first pick or first phase for last two patches. One of the most contested heroes of the last two patches. So Timbersaw will see a major uh, either going down the pecking order or completely removed from professional games. And another one that I feel is Ancient Apparition. I mean, Ice Vortex was probably his strongest thing last meta, which hasn't really been touched. Ice Vortex, along with the Shard, which hasn't really been touched, but he has received nerfs to his other parts, so we might see a lot less of A as well.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, the ultimate was basically what got nerfed very hard right now. 40 in the previous patch in 7.29, 29 was 40-second cooldown, which really wasn't a cooldown for an ultimate. You basically had it all the time, every fight, every skirmish, everything that happened on the map. You throw the ultimate, something dies for sure. Now with the 60-second cooldown, you really have to be mindful of what you do with that and that you really hit with it and it's securing a kill.
I agree. That's definitely a big hit to
Okay.
Ancient Apparition.
Now let's have some meta talk, right? I mean, we spoke about some buffs and nerfs about heroes, and then we mentioned items as well. Now let's make some, I would say, predictions or whatever theories that you might have, right? Yeah, any guesses on like how this meta would be like? For example, would it be like make all the average games to be longer, shorter, or what? Any sort of guesses? Anyone want to start? Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna change that much, right, Sid?
I completely agree. I don't think it's going to change that much, which was uh, which was a disappointment that many players expressed. But I feel that is the right way to go because the big thing that changes your meta and changes your game durations more than the heroes is the general changes and stuff like the map changes, which we've seen. We haven't seen too much of that, and I think that's something that's really good because what I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years is that what IceFrog and Valve do is the first patch of the new season is typically a fast-paced patch where you have zoo heroes running around with the dead ball meta, games getting over in 20-25 minutes. And then as the season goes on, as we get to the next majors and TI, the game duration steadily increases. And by the time we get to TI, we have games that last around 35 to 40 minutes, which makes TI interesting. The biggest lesson IceFrog and Valve probably learned was TI4, which was a dead ball meta, and no one enjoyed that. Like everyone keeps saying that that was the worst final ever, you know, and they don't want that to happen, which is why they want to make sure that when we get to TI, the meta is decently long in terms of game length. And I think they found a pretty good mix of things with the current meta or with the 7.29 meta, because if you see the ESL 1 summer grand final, it went to 5 games, 5 exciting games. If you see the OG versus Tundra EU qualifiers grand finals, it went to 5 games, again, 5 exciting games. And it's not even the fact that a team that runs away with the game necessarily wins the game. We've seen comebacks. T1 is probably the most prominent example, who've been trailing by 10K in a lot of their games and they make a comeback. So the comeback potential is also there in this meta. One thing that allowed teams that ran away with the game to go further ahead was the second Roshan giving 3 items, which now they've nerfed. So no more cheese. So that's even better. So I think they have a good formula for an exciting meta, which will make TI pretty interesting, which is why they didn't really change it too much.
Yeah, and I think they nerfed both instances of very short dead bowling games meta and the super long red Dota option with the Tinker change, with the Broodmother change. You know, certain heroes are not there anymore to do what we know it can happen. You know, to either finish games in 20 minutes or
Right.
drag a game to 100.
Right.
90-minute games, I hate those.
So the extreme, I think that they balanced a bit. I mean, you don't have these extremes anymore. I mean, of course, people will find ways
It
to
will
go
still
into
happen.
this
Yes.
extreme to happen, but
Yeah.
you know, they
Fewer
balanced it a
percentage.
bit.
On average, it won't be that long, I feel. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting because if you look at some of the previous, like some of the tournaments you mentioned, or even we roll back later to like the any major, right? I mean, overall, I think the game length are actually pretty decent. I think about 40 minutes or so average. On average, you have some shorter games, of course. You also have some super long ones, but on average, it's really all right. The comeback potential is what I want to really highlight, because sometimes you in some of the maybe previous years, when you, like, let's say you have like 5-10,000 goal lead, that's it. But right now you still have that kind of comeback potential, which I think is really good. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, it'll be a pretty interesting TI with the current meta that we have. The only difference will be we'll see a few new heroes which we didn't see in the ESL one. The We Play Animator and ESL one summer, and the
And
qualifiers as well.
definitely, yeah, and definitely the patch has the potential to bring some, as we mentioned at the beginning, some super broken or super weird interactions that we won't see right away. And I'm afraid that we're not gonna see until TI, although there are on people's mind. I mean, you look at Huskar, you look at some items. You already saw Virtus Pro doing something very strange with the Huskar in season 1, right? When they used the Huskar jungle.
Yep.
Support
Position 4
Huskar
Huskar.
jungle,
Yep.
yeah. And now I think Huskar has the potential to come back with some of the items changes and some neutrals and some interactions, even with Undying, even with, there are things that can make him broken
Right.
again.
All right, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see Dazzle come back as well, and that'll be good for Huskar.
Yeah, we didn't mention Dazzle, but I think overall
Yeah.
he's buffed and he's interesting to play again.
I think
Definitely.
Dazzle's definitely going to be something we see a bit
lot.
more. Maybe not right away, but yeah, I think Dazzle's definitely got that potential to be something strong again.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm that type that I like to be surprised. So and I feel like with this patch, literally about 40 days before TI, I think we definitely we have a lot of surprises up for us. But do you think there'll be any sort of like like completely like bug, like sort of like, I wouldn't say bug, but like complete exploitation that's still in the game? Is that possible or not? Like some, I don't know, like the kind of fountain hook nonsense or whatever.
Fountain hook nonsense, I get it why people call it nonsense, although
Yeah.
it was uber
It's
skill.
skill, yeah.
But I think a lot of very broken and very weird stuff can happen, especially with the Underlord new spell.
Yes.
I can't wait to see that happening more happening a lot in pro games, to see how people play around that, because that's a very strategical
Don't get me wrong,
play.
right? I like broken stuff, I like weird shit like that, like even like when OG bro like IO carry, everybody's like, what the
Right.
I like those stuff. I mean, they are not exact like technically broken, it's just like you never thought about it, right? So
Right.
yeah.
It's difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we said at the beginning, that what actually I said at the beginning, that I
Yeah.
think a lot of things will not be shown, although they know that they have the potential to be insane in one way or another.
I mean, one of the things you did bring up was Husker and that Brigand's Blade item, because I think that's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to watch, because people are probably going to be very upset when he hits you with his ulti for 40% of your HP and is therefore already doing 28 more damage every hit and is burning you. So that item is going to be very interesting to watch with Husker and that interaction.
Definitely. At the same time, though, like we forget it's a neutral item. If you don't get it,
Yes, you don't get it, then
you're gonna be frustrated.
What do you guys think about the change to the neutral items, right? In the sense that some of the new items, as well as like there's now 5 items for each team.
That's
For each
good.
tier,
That's
yeah.
good. That's very good, because having 4 items previously, it meant that somebody was always short, will not get something. Now everyone gets something, and usually the drops are not very, very, very different between the teams. So you kind of know, everyone is balanced in that regard. You won't just find the position 5 with absolutely nothing on him. Now you have the stick pole or whatever the names are to this stick pole and the toy and the toy thing.
Hey, the toy is quite fun, I must say. Tumblr's toy, yeah.
That's also an interesting interaction, because the jump itself is not that big, but you can go through obstacles,
Exactly.
cliffs and things.
I just like Blast Rig.
Blast Rig is which one? The
it knocks people
item,
away
yes.
from you, yeah.
So I think Tumblr's toy is definitely broken, because like they've said, you can go over cliffs, and people build force staffs just for that, for saving their teammates, or saving yourself, or going over unpassable terrain to get out of some murky situations, and you're getting that through a tier 1 item, which is absolutely crazy. And I can understand if it's a tier 3 item, but tier 1 item, it's insane.
And it's only 30 seconds cooldown. It's actually very viable, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. We are gonna see a lot of heroes vying for that item. And I also think Blast Rig, it gives you 100% blind for 2.5 seconds. 100%
for 2.5 seconds. It's huge.
That is huge.
Right?
And it's an AoE. It's an AoE blind as well. It's not just on the target that hits you.
That is
The
so crazy.
Feels like
the problem with items like that, like Blast Ring and Witchbane, which I also find absolutely broken, and I hate it, is that they nullify some heroes. So if you got lucky, you play against Phantom Lancer, you play against a Phantom Lancer, a Medusa, a Naga, something, like that, and you got Blast Ring or Witchbane. It was just pure luck to drop its RNG, and you nullify a hero, the opposing carrier,
Right.
That's not right. That's not right.
That's not right. I completely agree.
I agree, but I kind of get why they included these kind of items as well, and they removed some of the boring neutral items and put in all this fun stuff because they wanted that entertainment value, right? I mean,
No,
that's
it's
I don't
not
know.
about.
That's
I
my
mean,
guess. Yeah.
here is why I think it's wrong, and I don't understand why they did it. So they removed cooldown reduction, basically stacking, which was absolutely broken to some heroes. Stacking that, and it was something you could do anything about it. It was done, right? They removed all the stats talent, not all, but like 99% of them. Stats talents are gone, and the talents are just around the hero skills and things like that. They removed the crit RNG, so they work on balancing things. They work on making this bringing back Dota to pure skill based as it was before the
And then they
neutrals.
put in neutral items.
Yes, they removed some neutrals that were absolutely broken on some heroes, like the tree. What's the name of the item that puts a tree? Iron Brand tree. That was the best item possible for Hoodwink and a few patches ago Timber. So they removed it because it was so broken for those heroes, you know. And now you add some items that actually make the opposing team impossible to win in tier 4 or tier 5 drops.
Yeah, I completely agree. And even if today I'm given a choice, completely remove neutral items or keep them, I would remove them
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
same.
I
Neutral
I
I'm
items.
just
have to
happy that
agree.
Ballista
Yeah.
is not anymore here. I
Yeah,
mean, that
I'm
was
glad that
also
Ballista's not
was
there.
super.
Ballista was
bonkers.
so
Yeah.
stupid. Ballista was disgusting.
And to be honest, some of these items like Blast Rig you mentioned, right, it's gonna be on that level of broken, right? I mean, as well as Witch Bane.
Which Bane is
Yeah.
I just
I don't
wonder
know.
if they'll have enough data to make any changes to these items before TI. But I feel like we are going to see a balance patch which will nerf quite a few of the neutral items.
Some new items and probably some talents again. Because as good as they look, I mean, they make sense when you look at them. And then just think of Abaddon. I think he's even better now. He's almost back to Dota 1 days, you know, form. And he was already good as a support. Now I think
Right.
he's even better.
He was good as a position 5. Now he's going to be better as a position 3. And there are
Yeah,
teams
again,
that use him
flex,
as
yeah.
position 1. So I think those teams will be happy. I believe it's more of the South American teams.
Yep.
They'll be happy to see him buff.
Okay, let's go through some more predictions. I mean, any like, do you think with this patch, right, off the top of your head, like this patch will favor what team in your mind? Like the way they play and everything. I know it's this general, but then I want to also like hear your thoughts. Like straight up when you see this patch, okay, I think this team will perform well. So which teams would be that in your mind?
I know Div is going to say OG.
I'm not sure. I'm a bit scared. I mean,
yeah.
perfectly. When I say I'm afraid of OG finding this Alchemist utility support even more viable, I'm afraid of that possibility. At the same time, yes, obviously they buffed the IO, they buffed the Chen. That applies to Poppy and Secret as well. Slark for Alliance, Medusa.
It's across the board kind of things. There's there's not just one team, I don't think, or there's not just one or two. There's like a plethora of teams with just a couple of the heroes mentioned that we can say, you know, they might. Well, I mean, we mentioned earlier LGD with Pudge.
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say PSG LGD because there weren't too many changes to the meta. They've mastered this meta. They know the farming patterns. They know the farm distribution. They know when to make the moves. And I don't think those things have changed a lot with this patch. All of them are pretty skillful players. Even if new heroes arise, they can definitely get accustomed to the heroes. But more importantly, they know what playstyle works, and I think they're going to be at least top 3 at this TI.
Yeah, no, again, the most important part about this patch is that there are no map changes, no economy changes, no major overhaul, status resistant, all these things are the same, which advantages the teams that figure out already the meta to perfection, like PSG LGD, like T1, they showed, like Evil Geniuses. I mean, Evil Geniuses have been into both major grand finals, and that was not by chance, by luck, by anything.
Right.
Mm,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, these teams, EG, PSG,
It's-
LGD, they should. Sorry,
They should
Jared,
be
go
the
on.
ones that excel. Yeah, they should be the ones that excel. The teams that definitely have figured things out already. That I don't want to count out other teams because they could have it figured out as well. But yeah, for the most part, I think a lot of this favors any team that's got their head around the game itself, which
And
they're
they
TI.
still have a bit of time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Secret
Yeah,
strats
if
or whatever.
anything, if anything, this patch just adds or just opens the doors to a few more things in the meta that you
Right.
already know, and in the
Definitely,
the setup that you already know that works.
Definitely, yeah,
Rotation
that's a good point.
timings, pushing timings, Roshan timing, they are all the same.
Okay.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Before
Yeah.
we wrap up today's episode, just one last question, right? To all of you, what is the one thing that you would like to see the most in this upcoming TI in regards to the gameplay and patch, of course, meta? Yeah.
Position
One
4
thing you would like to see.
Pudge.
Sorry, again? Huh?
Position 4 Pudge.
Position 4. So more position 4 patch.
More
Okay?
position 4 Pudge.
More patch.
Position 2 Warlock. I can't help it.
That is
The answer's always going to be +2 Warlock.
that is really bold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind the position 2 Warlock, to be frank. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Diff? You thinking?
I'm thinking.
It's okay. Take your time.
I want
yeah.
to see. No, it's not about taking my time. I like Undying, as I said, a lot. The core Undying prospect, but I understand why he is super, super, super good as position 5 still. I also like Venge in this patch a lot as a support. The buff on her ulti is very interesting, very good, and very helpful in fights. I don't know what I want exactly from this TI. Just to be nice, to be good, to be
Yeah.
TI 8 level grand finals.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm just
Right.
afraid that, to be honest, previous to this patch, despite the ESL summer finals, when I saw like the way LGD crushed, we play Animator, and where the meta was going with all these pushes, fast push, 5-man oriented Dota, I was super afraid that with that Prophet Razor, Nature's Prophet will be in the same position as TI4 at TI 10. And I hope that won't happen. And I hope that Valve is aware and IcePro are aware about the fact that Razor and that Prophet could have ruined the TI-10, and they are doing something about it.
One last thing. I would love to see a lot of Dazzle, because Dazzle has not been a part of the professional meta for a long time. And what more than the buffs, what props up Dazzle is, this is a meta where there's a lot of burst damage, which was why we were seeing Aeon Disc. And now that Aeon Disc has been nerfed, Dazzle has a lot more use. So I really hope that we get to see a lot of Dazzle as well.
For me, I would just like to see like more combo combos, right? I just want to see combos that I've never thought about it before, and it was like, what the fuck just happened? I want to see those like $1 million moments, right?
Right.
Pop, 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 be it a team fight or like a one-shot kill kind of stuff. I don't care so long as the new combo that I've never seen before. I want to see it. Give me more. I love this kind of shit. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, definitely. I can. That brings a lot of fun to Dota.
Of course, hopefully that's not too broken, but yeah. Okay, with that said, We are done for today. Thank you all for joining us. And for those who have been watching, or you like our show, if you like what you see, like what you hear, do subscribe, as well as leave a comment. You can reach out to us on editorial@gosugamers.net as well. Tell us what we can improve. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Like, it can be about Dota, it can be about any other games, any other esports title. Let us know, and we will see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye bye.